Reverend Jesse's been invited by Central Alabama Pride to participate in their annual wedding blitz. Actually, I'm going down there this afternoon, and Jesse will be marrying some people, so that should be fun. Join us from, is it 3 to 5 that we'll be there? Okay. Also, June 21st, here, that's a Saturday, we're doing a couple-hour workshop, yoga, breathwork, meditation, with some good food downstairs afterwards, and that is from 11 to 12:30 on the 21st. On the 29th, we have a benefit concert with our Ukrainian friends, and we will be doing the service downstairs for lunch, and then the Ukrainian concert right after that. And so we'll do a potluck downstairs, and I'll have some sheets out there, so please sign up for the potluck and bring some food for that. On the July 13th, John Stringer will be back. It's Jesse's birthday on the 13th, and so John's coming in for that Sunday service. And lastly, thank everyone. Grace Klein came and picked up all the food and clothes that we donated, and we would like to fill it up again. That's a never-ending thing. My father-in-law passed away a couple months ago, and they came and took over 2.5 pickup trucks full of stuff from my father-in-law's house to Grace Klein. They do amazing things. They feed 20,000 people a week. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So they're always in need of stuff. So please just keep bringing food, clothing, whatever, and we'll take it and they will pick it up. That's about it.
Thank you, Bruce. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. And I also must say thank you to Bruce and the Bruce clan. I joined in on the picking up process. It was books, though. Lots of books. They also, just to kind of say this here, one of the books that you all gave me really touched me in a way, and I want to say this here. It was a book written by the founder of the University of Illinois, who, once they received a land grant in the early 1800s, helped to build the entire curriculum. And it was actually one of the original books with his hand signature in it, talking about the purpose of teaching and where teaching comes from and how to actually teach and how to build curriculum and how people learn. So you all have some hidden treasures there. Thank you for the invitation. And by the way, if any of you have books that you're giving away, please let me know. You never know what's in your house, and I'll help you find out. So, good morning again. Before we move into affirmative prayer, I know it's already 10 minutes after 11. I want to read today's daily word. Again, the subscription is on sale. I want to make that quick announcement. The digital subscription is powerful. You get it at least by 12 a.m. of that day, and it gives you a nice affirmation to begin your day along with some good reading. But I'll just read the affirmation as we enter into affirmative prayer. Today's word is kindness. And the affirmation is today, I will be kind to others. Everybody say, woosah to that. All right. In this sacred space, we give thanks for the spirit of community, because we know in advance that where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there is a divine presence, divine love that is in the midst, already doing the work. So we move out of the way. Every area that is constricted and tied and bound in mind and body, we release it and we let it go. So the fullness of who we are, divine love, divine potential, and all possibilities can emerge and heal all of us and all those we love. We affirm in advance that this service is in divine order, and we affirm that everything that we need when we leave these doors has already been provided, and who we need to be Monday through Friday and Saturday is already supported. And so it is. Amen.
morning, everyone. Y'all are so beautiful. You're welcome. I haven't been here in a few weeks, and I just want to say I've missed all of these faces, and I thought, kind of impromptu meditation we're having today, but I thought about just, we're called unity, and we really are such extensions of each other within this room, but also beyond the boundaries of these walls. So I kind of wanted to put us in the mindset of that before I start this meditation. I would like everyone to get comfortable in their seats. Let's go ahead and uncross our legs, uncross our arms. Yes, get comfortable. And I would like for you to just loosen your shoulders a bit. And I want us to take a few deep breaths in, but as you inhale, I just want you to think of the best feeling you can think of and say that word with each inhale, okay? All right. With that next inhale, I want you to let that feeling just take over you. I want you to imagine that that feeling is a light, and that light is your favorite color. And with each breath that you breathe in, that light is coming into your lungs, and it is spreading to every cell in your body. We are love-filled. We are joy-filled. We are peaceful. We are blessed. And I want you to pay attention to any tension that you may have, whether in your shoulders, some other part of your body. And with each deep inhale, send that beautiful feeling to that area. You just need to breathe into that space a little bit more. And sink deeper and deeper into your seat. Deeper and deeper with each exhale. With these next few inhales, I would like you to pause for a couple seconds. And then when you exhale, pause for a couple of seconds. And really let that energy settle. as you are filled with so much joy, love, light, peace, I want you to push that excess beautiful energy out to your neighbor. Push it beyond your neighbor. Push it beyond these walls. That energy transcends everything. That we are all connected. The beauty, the mess, the happiness, all of it. We are all light beings connected to Source. And right now you are directly channeling that beautiful, all-knowing energy source. And as we are all so deeply connected to Source right now, with these last few exhales, go ahead and tell Source that which you would like to see happen in the world today, in your life, in your community. Put it out there as a manifestation that we will be the change we seek. I want you to take a final deep breath in. Pull it all the way down to your gut. And release. Let's go ahead and gently open our eyes and come back to the room. We're going to shake it all out. Wiggle out any of those tight spots. Thank you for letting me do this meditation for you. Last, I'll say.
Right there in that same energy, let's just stay right there for a few moments. Because that is where the work is. You get a chance to allow your nervous system to relax. When you do this sort of work by yourself, you practice what psychologists call self-regulation. But together, in this sacred space, we get a chance to participate in what's called co-regulation. So we get to regulate our autonomic nervous systems together, which is a fancy way of saying we get a chance to breathe. Our souls breathe. Many people think that when Jesus met the disciples in the upper room, he breathed on them. I don't think they would have wanted to smell his breath, so that's not what happened. Better translation is he breathed with them. And join me, if you will, in that practice. One big deep breath in through the nose. Release the sound of Just rest there for a few minutes. If you feel comfortable, place one hand on your belly, another one on your chest. The seat of the soul, Gary Zukav, where life sort of meets us right in the very front. Charles Fillmore calls these the sons of thunder, the daughters of thunder, James and John. The loud thundering of anxiety, the beating of your heart, the bubbling of your stomach. It occurs right here at the seat of the nervous system. So whenever you feel dysregulated, you can place one hand on your belly and on your heart to tune into your body and just breathe based on the instructions of the meditator. Just breathe into the moment, knowing that what you're feeling will pass, like cars on the highway. If you let them go, they'll pass. If you remember them, they'll come back. But every time they come back, remember, you can let them go. So when you feel or face an uncomfortable moment, you can say to yourself, this too will pass. An uncomfortable conversation, this too will pass. An uncomfortable experience, this too will pass. And what you'll discover is all of the uncomfortabilities that are in life, there is something that remains, and that's you. You are the center of that universe. So when you let all of those things, persons, places, things go, especially if they're grown. If they're grown, definitely let them go. Too much to carry. Children are lighter. They're heavy, but grown people are heavier. Let them go. Reduce that weight that you're carrying. When you do so, you can move through the world lighter and brighter. And so it is. And so it is. If you will, rub your hands together. Let's send this healing to those that are watching online. Put your hands at the camera. Say this with me. Divine love in us blesses and multiplies all that you hear and all that you receive. Know in this moment you are safe and loved. And so it is. Our ministry is supported by partners like you. Remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. Moderators are always on standby before and after the service, so wherever you see this message, either on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, if there is a comment section available to you, please post your prayer requests there. Dialogue with us. You're a vital part of our ministry, and we will pray for you. For those that are in the house that are in need of prayer, we do have our prayer chaplains here. Put your hands together for all of our prayer chaplains. Yes, and so it is. And again, just to champion the announcements, I want to say thank you to everyone that's here and everyone that's tuning in online and all of our volunteers. Put your hands together for our volunteers. This is a volunteer ministry. Nobody voluntold anyone except for Bruce to come on and do some things. No, it takes a collaborative effort. Folks that are watching online, when you tune in to YouTube and you just see the show and you have no idea of what all it takes in order to put together a 1 to 2 hour experience. And many of you sacrifice your time and other commitments, not just during the weekend, but also during the week, because many of you still work. And for those that are retired, you do the things retirees do, which is to continue to work. So all of you are busy, and the fact that you are here, everything that you can do to support any sort of project or volunteer initiative on behalf of all the staff and all of the trustees, I do say thank you, because it really does take all of us. And so with that said, to segue into deeper experiences of this moment, this month's theme is imagination. Say this with me, imagination. And today's topic, before I get ahead of myself, is impossible. Because you can't talk about imagination without talking about the impossible. Charles Fillmore, I'm reminded of a quote that he said that was recently shared by Unity Worldwide Ministries, where he said that all that you imagine God to be is your duty to express. Every day, your goal, quote unquote, is to express all that you imagine God to be, which means that there's a responsibility piece that's left up to us. Every day, when you get up, imagine God, or receive a download of your understanding of God. And whatever you imagine God to be that day, God becomes. Because remember, God is spirit, and and they that worship God does so in spirit and in truth. And that worship, it sounds like to lift up, to hold to high esteem, and all of that may very well be true, but it also means to emulate, to admire. So if you admire the principle of life, if you practice gratitude on a regular basis, if you work on personality development, and that is how you show gratitude to life, by putting your best foot forward and giving the world the best versions of yourself, and then being true enough to yourself that when the best versions of yourself aren't there, you do the self-care that is necessary. Nobody has to tell you to eat, sleep, don't be nasty, be kind, take care of yourself, be kind to others, all of those things that we learned in adolescence and childhood. But to worship God, to get back to my main point, is to emulate God. So the real question is, what does God look like? C. Allen Anderson, the theologian, said that you are exactly where God was when God became you, which means that you are always on time. And I know in spirituality we have a lot of fancy ways and a lot of one-liners, but it's so true. You are exactly where God was when God became you, because in the space of imagination, time doesn't really exist. Time is sort of an agreed upon thing that we metabolize in our body. Right now we agree that it's 11:35, but if things were to change in the world and we agreed collectively something else, it would not be 11:35. Right now we have a specific calendar that tells us that today is the exact date, but there are other calendars in existence that have other dates for this time period. To go even further, 10 minutes from now will be now. 10 minutes ago when we stood in the present, it was now. So everywhere you go is the eternal now. So there is a timelessness or a timeless element to life, and it exists within your mind. In the words of Johnny Coleman, I always reiterate this quote: if you can get a thing in your mind first. So it's your responsibility to attune to your needs. This is why relationships and interpersonal relationships are so difficult. You know, the number one cause of divorce is irreconcilable differences, they say. Anybody that got divorces under their belt might have something different to say. But irreconcilable differences, and it's the inability to attune into each other's needs. Well, that responsibility begins here. Say this with me. Let it begin, with me. Every day when you wake up, ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I need to be me? Before you think about anybody else, all of the to-dos that are on your list that involve other people, before you do that, put your oxygen mask on first and ask yourself, what do I need today? Yesterday, I needed to go to the grocery store. Why did I need to go to the grocery store? Because they have a Starbucks there. I didn't buy any groceries. I got a nice fruity drink because I needed that for me. And they had an apple fritter there. I needed that for me. And I was happy. I had my dopamine fix, and I went on back to the house. 5 minutes from the house, but, went on back home. Because some days we need that dopamine fix. And believe it or not, a lot of us, that's really what we're chasing. We need that dopamine fix. Sometimes we wake up, and the imagination factor just isn't there. And we don't know why we're moody. And if we were to study science just for a little bit, science would tell us, yeah, your dopamine ain't where it needs to be today. Serotonin and oxytocin, none of that stuff is flowing. You got to figure out a way to generate it. Now, don't use my example if you struggle with other things in your body. I took a shortcut. I took the sugar route to dopamine. But there are other ways to generate that, and it's already within you. In fact, the endocannabinoids for our cannabis users, the endotobaccoids for those users, everything that we need is right there in the body. Science has already confirmed that these elements are alive and they are intricately wired into the fabric of our being, housed, for the most part, in the connections in our brains. In other words, you want it, you got it already. In the words of the prophet Elijah, what is in your house? But all I have, I think I feel my help, all I have is enough for me and mine. And then we're going to do this little bit of thing and we're going to go home and die. But you have in potential everything you need. And believe it or not, true prophets never speak to what is apparent. That's why we talked last week, the book of Matthew, and we looked at the Beatitudes. And the Beatitudes are powerful because as Jesus gave that famous Sermon on the Mount, according to the writer, the book of Matthew, and confirmed by Bart Ehrman, New Testament scholar, when he looked out at the crowd, he wasn't talking to what he could see. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are so-and-so. He wasn't talking about appearances. He wasn't looking at people's clothes, their facial expressions, none of that. He was speaking to their essence. So no matter who you are, where you go, the fact that you're alive, you are blessed. You are not blessed because of what you do. You are not blessed for what you do for people, although that is a blessing. You are blessed. You are the blessor that provides the blessing. Because everything that you do, you put your soul in it. You ever had good food before? It's like, good God, they put their soul into it. Everything that you do. So my first invitation is that you bring more of that awareness. When we say, don't leave God at the house, you bring more of that into it. But in order to do so, you have to connect with it because it's already there. It's like having money in your pocket that you haven't spent, but you're circling around saying, where's my money? Where's my money? So before your day begins, wake up and ask yourself, what do I need today? And then you allow God to become that. If you need more grace, you allow God to be that. If you need more love, you allow God to be that. You put yourself in environments and give yourself circumstances to almost trick your brain so that you can generate the consciousness, the feelings of that. In the words of Reverend Ike, you get full of the feeling. Full of the feeling, because fulfillment brings fulfillment. Just pause right there. Fulfillment brings fulfillment. And when you learn how to feel good, you're not dependent on nobody. And you can teach others how to make you feel good. Or you can sit back and hold the cheat codes in your pocket and watch them struggle. My ask is that you use your powers for good and not evil. Don't manipulate people. Don't manipulate the world. If you see them struggling and flapping around like a fish, tell them what you need. In the words of the old song, tell me something. All right, church. You have to do that. That is the spiritual work. So as metaphysical and as mystical as we get and theological as we get and all of that other stuff, it all boils down to this constant I can't talk. The things I know are things I need to know in order to feel good. She wanted to say God, but the publisher wouldn't let her say God. So she said good. She wrote the book, The Molecules of Emotion. Everybody remember that? When the PBS documentary came out, she had the little emotions dancing around. She wrote The Molecules of Emotion. But what she was talking about was that there is a feeling, all the feelings that we have on the inside, but there's a scientific component associated with it. Now, we haven't gotten to what the molecular structure of anger looks like or what the molecular structure of happiness looks like. But we do know how, to plain speak, to set the conditions. And if we don't, that's where the work is. And if you have anything, according to the neurodivergent spectrum, where you change constantly, you have attention deficit, hyperactive disorder, or ADD, you have an autistic brain, where your executive function might be different, or you don't like labels, but they do sound good and like they might fit you. You might change a lot. You might have sensory overload issues. You might have sensory deficit issues. Come on, somebody. You might like a lot of people. You might like a little bit of people. But wherever you are, right, beyond the labels, in the words of Rumi, there is a field and I will meet you there. That's what I'm trying to do in this message. I'm trying to meet you where you are. And I'm also trying to set myself free on this morning, so I apologize for my soapbox. But this is the work, right? And it begins in our minds. It begins with the faculty of imagination. To quote Charles Fillmore, the imaginative faculty is the receiving capacity of the mind. And then it takes faith and then works and things that we do in order to materialize it. In other words, we are surrounded by substance. We're surrounded by pure potential. There are germs floating around in the air, atoms, quarks, phasars, things moving in and out of existence all the time, things that we can't see. And if we accept that reality, then emotionally, philosophically, there must be states of consciousness that are just floating around us in potential that we can't see. So your happiness is in the air. Sometimes your happiness is down the street. Sometimes your happiness is at that next party, that next phone call, that next television show, that next slice of pizza, whatever it is that you need to do. Listen to this message as your confirmation. Go and do that. And you might have to do that by yourself and be okay with that, because everybody might not like what you like. So don't be mad that they don't like it. Just do you. Set yourself free. And you might discover that when you go off by yourself, that you have an encounter with yourself, and yourself tells you things about yourself that you needed to know, that you have to keep to yourself. And you do that kind of spiritual work, and I promise you, you will unlock secrets about yourself that your mama couldn't even tell you. About why you do the things you do, about your thought process, about what you need and why you need it, and why you wore what you wore, and the colors that you wore depending on the day, and all of these wonderful, wonderful things that take you down rabbit holes. Who loves a good rabbit hole? You get lost for hours. Self-absorption is not a bad thing. It can be bad at times, yes, but everybody needs a healthy dose of narcissism. That's why I'm wearing fuchsia shoes. You need to love on yourself. And yes, I cut the mustache off so it doesn't have the tangents. You need to love yourself. You need to make yourself laugh. This is how you meet God. This is how that phrase, you are exactly where God was when God became you. Your happiness is on the other side of this feeling. And happiness isn't always this up in the air feeling. Sometimes happiness is contentment. Sometimes happiness is peace. So you have to imagine that arena, that movie theater. Imagine in your mind what that would look like. And then let that be the marker and allow yourself to grow into it. Because the other part about imagination is it can be really, really disappointing when things don't live up to our expectations. But in the theater of your mind, according to Reverend Ike, allow that show to take place and then live into it. You'll be surprised. Sometimes you might get it absolutely right. And even if you don't, you allow yourself to be open to chance so that life can bless you, so that life can make you laugh, so that everything becomes an experiment. Because after all, in order to have an experience, you have to experiment. Some of our unhappiness is because we're not willing to experiment. We like things exactly the way we are. This is my fork, this is my spoon, this is my plate, and I'm not going to change for nobody. That's fine. But for those that are open to learning and growth, sometimes, or all of the time, you have to experiment. You have to shake things up. Take a different route home. You know? Don't go home the same way. Don't go to the same store. The things that you find yourself almost saying, don't say them. When you want to interject when someone says something, hold back. Do something different and you will get a different result. That's how we love on ourselves. That's how we grow. That's how we discover. That's what life is all about. That wonderful Unity metaphysical book from back in the day, The Quest, right? That journey of self-discovery. Oh my God, it's a beautiful thing. And it continues throughout your lifetime. That's how you engage in what the book that Bruce gave me, constructivist practice. Because in education, for a long time, the teacher and the textbook were the authority. But truthfully speaking, people don't learn like that. There's no knowledge transfer that happens when you're sitting down listening to someone. Constructivist education tells us, especially for adults, that learning happens when we move around, when we experiment, when we socialize, when we meet our peers. For some of you, you just need to be around other adults. That's the problem. You've been around children forever. You need to be around grown folk, people your own age. And for some of you, you don't need to be around people your own age. Go find somebody younger, because the people your own age ain't where you are. I know I was raised by a wisdom keeper, so I know the feeling. I'm like, man, these millennials getting on my nerves. Let me go find some wisdom keepers. Let's go play golf. You have to find what works for you. And when you do that, you construct new bodies of knowledge. Constructive is learning. You have new experiences. And it all begins in that imaginative moment. So again, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what do I need today? And then you go on a journey of giving yourself that, and you get free. Whom the Son has set free is free indeed. Because now you don't have to wait. Now you don't have to ask permission. Can I go? Can I do this? If you want to go, go. You want to go on a trip? Go on a trip. You want to go hang out with a friend? Go hang out with a friend. But I got to find a babysitter. Take the baby with you. Or go start the journey, that next step of finding sitters. Do the thing that you need to do to set yourself free, because I promise you, if you are free, you will be better to those that you are around. They don't want just you. They want a freer you. They don't want the grumpy, miserable, always complaining, cantankerous version of yourself. In fact, when you leave the house with your guilt, your mom guilt, your dad guilt, guess what? They're happy that you're gone. Yes. Please go. Good grief. Or maybe that's just me. When you coming back, I love that. I probably got it right now. Take your time. Right there in my phone. Take your time. It's fine. But it all begins right here in imagination. So to ground this message in a story real quick, I want to point your attention back to Matthew. And I like to give this piece because I want us to be able to connect together, and I want you to have just as much information as I have, if not more. The book of Matthew, if you remember, that is a Greek book. And the reason why we say it's a Greek book is because of the original language of the actual text. So the text itself could not have been written in Palestine during the time in which scholars say it was written. So it wasn't written by an eyewitness. More than likely, we're probably reading first century Facebook commentary. That's why so many scholars debate on who said what. Jesus' words are in red, and then the Jesus Seminar reviewed that and said, no, that's not actually accurate anyway. But it's a first century book written in about 89 of the Common Era, according to Bar Ehrman. And so that makes it written about 50 plus years after Jesus' transition. And so in that particular text, Jesus is recorded as saying a bunch of things, but what I want to point your attention to is the 19th chapter of the book of Matthew, right around like the 24th, 26th verse, where Jesus is having a conversation with his disciples about concepts that they can't quite understand. And then he says that it'll be easier for a person to go through the eye, or a camel to go through the eye of a needle in order to grasp this concept. This is also why, if I can pause here, why you all are blessed, because you can understand these concepts. So celebrate your mind. Even if your mind terrorizes you with paranoia sometimes, celebrate your mind because of the things you can understand, the things you can know, the things you can grasp. Because if the wiring was not there, you would have a difficult time grasping it. And so for the things that you need to grasp, you take care of yourself so your brain can build the new components so you can understand it. Because while we talk about spirit and consciousness, you need to have the brains to support that conscious life. And you develop those connections by giving yourself new experiences. So on Sunday mornings after church, go get a crossword puzzle. Build those new connections. So Book of Matthew, it's a Greek book. More than likely it was probably written in Antioch, where the church was first established, which is sort of in that modern-day territory of Syria. So who knew every time you open the book of Matthew, you're actually traveling to Syria? Most of the time when we pick up the book, we think we're in Palestine, but you're in multiple parts of the world at the same time. Now you know what scholars know, so you don't have to be afraid of the book. It's a wonderful story. Jesus moves on after telling them that it's easier for people to grasp these concepts, or difficult for people to grasp these concepts, and easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And then he moves on to my favorite part. I believe it's the 25th verse. With God, all things are possible. Today's message is the impossible. With God, when you take God with you, when you do the self-development work, all things are possible. Para, theo, panta, denata in Greek. With God, all things are possible. Para, theo, panta, denata. Sounds a lot like denata, like you're welcome. But it just means with God, all things are possible. If you take this stuff with you, you take it with you at the point that you can carry it. For the things you don't understand, that you don't remember, focus on what you do remember. Sometimes one word, one phrase will change your life. It didn't go right yesterday, it can go right tomorrow. And you keep looking forward, 1 foot at a time. And to reiterate what I said on last week, while you're trying to digest the big picture in that imaginative field, ask yourself, okay, what is the next step? If I can't get the whole thing, what is the next right step? And if you keep doing that next right thing for you and for those you love, then that picture you have in your imagination will come to life. And the impossible will surprise you and become possible. Thank you for listening. Peace and blessings. For those that tune in online, remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. Those that give in-house, our ushers are making their way forward to collect the offering while Adonna gives us a selection. Take it away. Let's bless the offering, if you will. Punch your hands in the direction of the offering basket. Say this with me. We bless this offering, affirming it will be used for the building of this ministry. We bless the givers, and we declare their gifts will return back to them with good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Put your hands together one more time.
They could all stand and let there be peace on earth. protection. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is.
Wherever I am, God is, and
All is well. Thank you much.
all.